First up, the 1978 Roosevelt dime is a part of the long-running Roosevelt dime series, which was introduced in 1946, following the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Designed by artist John R. Sinek, this coin was made to honor the 32nd president, whose leadership through the Great Depression and World War II left a lasting legacy in U.S. history. The 1978 Roosevelt dime itself was minted during a period of relative stability in U.S. coinage, with the country continuing to use the copper-nickel alloy for dimes. The D mint mark, referring to the Denver Mint, was used for this coin, and it is important for collectors to recognize this when considering its value. The condition of the coin plays a significant role in determining its value in the market. Coins in circulated conditions with significant wear and tear, such as a dirty appearance, tend to reduce a coin's value, especially for pieces not deemed rare or highly sought after. However, even a dirty and circulated 1978 dime with the right provenance or minting errors could still carry more value. In 1978, the U.S. Mint produced a significant number of Roosevelt dimes. In fact, the total mintage for the 1978 dime was around 400 million coins, making it a fairly common coin in terms of overall circulation. This high mintage is a factor that typically works against the value of the coin in its general circulated form. However, specific conditions, such as unique errors, or the coin's condition in relation to its preservation, can help it stand out. The presence of the D mint mark indicates that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint, which adds a layer of distinction when compared to the P mint mark dimes produced in Philadelphia. The value of the 1978 Roosevelt dime in its dirty, circulated condition can range quite a bit. While a coin in this condition will generally not fetch a high price in the auction market, its value can be influenced by the unique characteristics of the coin, such as any noticeable errors or historical significance. Coins that are in relatively poor condition can still be valued at thousands of dollars, but they are usually considered more of a filler in a collection rather than a high-value piece. However, if this coin has specific errors, such as a doubled die or a misaligned die, its market value could jump dramatically. In such cases, a coin that might otherwise be valued at $10,000 to $15,000 could sell for several thousands dollars, depending on the rarity and the error's prominence. It's crucial for collectors to have coins like this graded professionally to determine their precise value. Collectors of Roosevelt dimes generally focus on coins with high-quality preservation and rare minting errors. The 1978 dime, with its D mint mark, might not be the most highly sought after in standard circulated conditions. However, collectors who specialize in mid to late 20th century coins, including Roosevelt dimes, might still show interest in this coin, especially if it has an unusual history, comes from a notable collection, or features an exceptional error. Coins in dirty or damaged conditions might attract interest from collectors who are searching for lower-grade examples to complete their sets, and occasionally, these collectors will pay a premium if the coin features something distinctive. Next up, we delve into a 1979 Jefferson nickel with a D mint mark error, one of the most intriguing coins from the late 20th century. While the Jefferson nickel series was established in the 1930s, the 1979 release is particularly fascinating because of an error in the minting process, which has caused it to rise in value on the auction market today. By 1979, the United States was experiencing an economic resurgence following the end of the stagflation period that plagued the 1970s. The coinage of the time, including the Jefferson nickel, reflects the more modern era of U.S. mint production, with mass production techniques, technology, and efficient minting processes employed. The 1979 Jefferson nickel is part of the post-1964 series, which saw the redesign of several coins after the U.S. Mint phased out the use of silver in circulating coins. The Jefferson nickel itself remained largely unchanged from its original design, but it was still used in significant quantities throughout the 1970s and 1980s. Minted at the Denver Mint. Hence the D mint mark, the 1979 Jefferson nickel's circulation during a period of economic expansion meant it saw substantial use, as millions of nickels were produced for everyday commerce. The 1979 Jefferson nickel features the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, with the same classic details from the original design by Felix Schlag. The reverse shows Monticello, the home of Jefferson, which was a constant feature of the series since its inception. The coin weighs 5 grams and has a composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel, and is of a similar size to all prior Jefferson nickels, with a diameter of 21.2 millimeters. What sets this particular coin apart from others in the series is the error in its mint mark. On certain coins, the D mint mark was improperly struck, which resulted in a distortion that made the mint mark appear as an irregular and imperfect symbol. This error, while not widespread, makes the coin more attractive to collectors who specialize in minting errors. The mintage for the 1979 Jefferson nickel was substantial, with well over 300 million coins being produced in total across all mints. The Denver Mint produced a large number of these coins, contributing significantly to the overall mintage. However, the error on a select number of 1979 deminted nickels is what drives up the value for collectors today. In fine condition, a typical 1979 Jefferson nickel might fetch a modest price of around $8,000. However, the error version, particularly one that shows a distinct D mint mark error, can command a much higher price depending on the severity and clarity of the error. Coins with this error in fine condition can see auction values rise to anywhere between $10,000, and in higher grades, the price could skyrocket, reaching upwards of $20,000 or more. The error with the mint mark, often referred to as a misstruck D mint mark, is a rare occurrence and one that many collectors are eager to add to their collections. Error coins are always sought after due to their rarity and the fascinating stories behind their production mishaps. In summary, the 1979 Jefferson nickel with D error is a coin that holds significant value for collectors, especially those focused on minting anomalies. The coin's rich history, coupled with the rarity of the error, makes it a treasure in today's coin market. Next up, the 1996 Roosevelt dime was minted during an interesting time for U.S. coinage. The country was coming out of the 1980s and entering a period of economic prosperity. The design of the Roosevelt dime remained unchanged, continuing to honor the legacy of Franklin D. Roosevelt. The coin's design features Roosevelt's profile, but it's always important to note that some years, such as 1996, have had large date varieties that collectors look out for. The 1996 Roosevelt dime also features the P mint mark for the Philadelphia Mint, which was introduced in the early 20th century. The P mint mark is of particular interest to collectors, especially when considering low mintage years or unusual varieties like the 1996 large date. These coins are often more interesting than standard dimes because they represent a distinct time in the U.S. mint's production. However, the distinguishing feature of the 1996 coin, especially in the case of the large date variety, is the spacing and size of the numbers. The 6 is larger than in earlier issues, creating a key feature that collectors eagerly seek. In the case of the dirty and damaged 1996 dime, the condition of the coin plays a major role in its market value. A black color and noticeable damage on the front side of the coin, such as scratches, bends, or discoloration, reduce its appeal. The bad condition could significantly lower its overall market value, but errors and unique characteristics, like a filled die or misalignment, could potentially bring interest from serious collectors. The mintage of the 1996 Roosevelt dime was substantial, with over 1.4 billion dimes produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Despite this, some collectors focus on specific years and varieties, such as the 1996 large date, which makes the coin more appealing to numismatists looking to fill specific spots in their collections. As with many years in the Roosevelt dime series, high mintage figures do not automatically mean low value. Coins from this era that exhibit distinctive characteristics, such as the large date variety, can command higher prices when found in uncirculated or error-rich conditions. The market value for a 1996 Roosevelt dime in bad condition, especially if it's dirty or damaged, is quite modest. While common examples in poor condition may fetch thousands of dollars at best, the presence of any error or unique feature can raise the value exponentially. For instance, a 1996 Roosevelt dime with a prominent error like a die crack or off-center strike might see values in the range of $6,000 even in bad condition. However, without errors, the value typically remains low for coins in poor or damaged states. Collectors who specialize in Roosevelt dimes or coin varieties will still take interest in these, especially if they can identify any errors or variations not immediately visible. A damaged or dirty coin can be cleaned up or restored, though it's important to note that cleaning a coin can often reduce its value, particularly for collectors of high-grade coins. Collectors who focus on specific years, such as the 1996 large date variety, may find the coin interesting, but its poor condition will likely be a barrier. For some collectors, the condition will make this coin more of a curiosity or a placeholder until a better example comes along. However, there's always a niche market for coins with unusual characteristics, such as severe damage or unique wear patterns, which can appeal to certain types of collectors, especially those interested in the more flawed aspects of coinage. Next up, the 1947 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark is another example of a highly valuable piece of American numismatic history. Let's take a closer look at why this coin is so desirable to collectors and how its value has evolved over the years. The 1947 Jefferson nickel was struck at a time when the United States was still recovering from the effects of World War II. The war had ended just 2 years earlier, and the U.S. Mint was working to meet the needs of a growing economy. The design of the Jefferson nickel was well established by this time, and the coin had become a key element in the nation's currency. The 1947 Jefferson nickel was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, with no mint mark present. This was standard for coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint during this era. The coin features the same classic design by Felix Schlag, showcasing Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse. The mintage of the 1947 Jefferson nickel was relatively high, with over 45 million coins produced. Despite this, finding well-preserved examples in fine condition is not as easy as it might seem. The years of circulation, combined with the fact that these coins were made with a relatively soft metal composition at the time, means that many of the surviving examples show significant wear. The 1947 Jefferson nickel is often found in various grades, with the fine condition being one of the most common. Coins in fine condition typically show moderate wear, but the details of Jefferson's portrait and the Monticello building are still clearly visible. In fine condition, the coin's design is clearly visible, but some of the finer details may show wear, especially in the areas of Jefferson's face and the building's intricate architectural details. Collectors often seek coins that show a nice balance of wear, where the main features remain distinct. In today's auction market, the 1947 Jefferson nickel, without a mint mark in fine condition, can range from $66,700 depending on the overall quality and eye appeal of the coin. Coins with better strikes or those in slightly higher grades, such as very fine or extra fine, can sell for between $99,000. When graded professionally by services like PCGS or NGC, the value can increase substantially, especially if the coin is graded at an MS or higher level. Coins in MS condition can fetch anywhere from $100,000 or more, depending on the specific grading and market demand. Much like the 1949 Jefferson nickel, the 1947 version also sees significant collector interest for potential errors. Known errors include double strikes, die cracks, and misaligned dies. These error coins can be worth much more than a standard coin of the same year, and they often attract premium bids at auction. Collectors are particularly interested in error varieties because they are unique and tell a story about the minting process. The rarity of these error coins makes them a desirable addition to any collection, especially those focused on the Jefferson nickel series. Next up, the 1987 Roosevelt dime, which is quite special due to its unique error, a small cut line on the neck. This dime is part of the long-standing Roosevelt dime series, which was introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, following his death in 1945. Designed by John R. Sinek, the Roosevelt dime was meant to represent the enduring legacy of Roosevelt's leadership during the Great Depression and World War II. The series itself is known for its clean lines and simple elegance, featuring a left-facing profile of Roosevelt with the motto Liberty above and the year of issue below. However, this 1987 issue is particularly unique due to an unexpected error, a small cut line found on Roosevelt's neck. This error occurred during the coin minting process, where a tool or other equipment made an inadvertent mark on the die, which was transferred onto the coin. It's a subtle imperfection, but it's enough to set this coin apart from others in the series. To understand why this coin is so valuable, we must first look at the history of the Roosevelt dime. The Roosevelt dime was minted by the United States Mint for decades, and though most issues were produced in high quantities, certain years stand out because of either their lower mintage or unique characteristics. The 1987 dimes were part of a series with relatively high mintage numbers, but the error on this particular coin was not widespread, making it rare among its counterparts. Over time, the Roosevelt dime has become a symbol of resilience, much like the man it honors. The 1987 dimes were minted in both Philadelphia with the P mint mark and Denver, with the Philadelphia mint mark typically being more common in circulation. In terms of mintage, the 1987 Roosevelt dime had a relatively high production rate, with over 1.6 billion coins struck in Philadelphia alone. Despite this, the error on this specific coin elevates its value considerably. Coins like these, with unique minting defects, are highly sought after by collectors who specialize in errors. While a regular 1987 Roosevelt dime might fetch $57,000 in the market, a coin with this particular error can command prices upwards of several $100,000, depending on the coin's condition and the prominence of the error. Collectors are particularly interested in coins with errors like these because they are rarities that can't be replicated, making them special additions to any collection. The design is crisp, the details well-defined, and the coin is made from a copper-nickel-clad composition with 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel. This gives the coin its silver-like appearance, making it durable yet lightweight. What really sparks collector interest here is the small cut line error on the neck. Though it may seem like a minor imperfection, this flaw significantly decreases the overall perfection of the coin, making it a one-of-a-kind piece for those who enjoy error coins. These small details can elevate a coin from being a simple dime to a highly desirable artifact in the eyes of dedicated collectors. While some might dismiss this imperfection, others view it as a fascinating quirk of the minting process, and as such, these coins can be highly valuable in the market. If you find a 1987 Roosevelt dime with this error in your collection, you could be holding a rare treasure worth significantly more than face value. Next up, the 1949 Jefferson nickel, which is often considered one of the most valuable coins of the Monticello nickel series. It's rare to find one of these coins in excellent condition, and even a circulated version can fetch significant sums in today's auction market. The 1949 Jefferson nickel was struck during a period of post-World War II economic recovery in the United States. At this time, the country was transitioning from wartime production to a more stable civilian economy. The U.S. Mint was busy striking a variety of coins, and the Jefferson nickel series, which began in 1938, continued to evolve. The 1949 nickel features a design created by Felix Schlag, showing the profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and a detailed depiction of Jefferson's home, Monticello, on the reverse. This design has become one of the most iconic in American coinage history. But what makes the 1949 nickel special, particularly the version without a mint mark, is the rarity and its status in the world of coin collecting. In terms of mintage, the 1949 Jefferson nickel saw a significant production, with over 100 million coins struck. However, not all of these coins are readily available in circulation today. The 1949 nickel without a mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, where it was produced in large numbers. Despite the high mintage, finding a well-preserved version of this coin in circulated condition is rare. Coins that have been circulated for decades, passing through numerous hands, typically show significant wear and tear. This wear can often lead to reduced value, but the 1949 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark still holds substantial collector interest, even in lower-grade circulated conditions. When found in higher grades, its value skyrockets. One of the key features collectors look for in these coins is the quality of the strike and the preservation of Jefferson's portrait and the Monticello building on the reverse. In circulated condition, the level of wear on these coins can vary, but they still retain much of their historical charm and significance. The 1949 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark has recently seen an increase in demand, especially from collectors who appreciate the historical value of these coins. In today's auction market, the value of a 1949 nickel in circulated condition can range from $25,000 depending on the level of wear and the coin's overall condition. However, when in higher grades, such as VF, very fine, extra fine, and AU about uncirculated, the value can increase dramatically, with some examples fetching $50 to $150 or more. Coins that have been graded by professional services like Professional Coin Grading Service or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation tend to sell for even higher amounts, especially if they receive a grade of MS. Mint state one of the things that make the 1949 Jefferson nickel even more interesting to collectors is the possibility of finding errors. Though error varieties for the 1949 nickel are relatively rare, there are a few known examples of coins with double strikes, misaligned dies, and other anomalies. These errors can significantly increase the value of the coin, with some rare varieties being worth hundreds of dollars, even in circulated condition. Collectors are particularly drawn to error coins because they represent an anomaly in the minting process, making them unique in the world of numismatics. This collector interest, combined with the historical significance of the coin, is what makes the 1949 Jefferson nickel so valuable. Next up, coin of the day is the 1967 Roosevelt dime, which, although found in dirty condition, is another highly collectible piece. The 1967 Roosevelt dime is a staple of the series, and even though it was struck in large numbers, its place in history makes it an essential part of many collections. What's interesting about this particular coin is its condition. While it's not pristine, it carries a story of its journey through time, a reflection of its age and the many hands it may have passed through over the years. Unlike the 1987 coin, this 1967 dime lacks a mint mark. The absence of a mint mark means this coin was minted in Philadelphia, where most Roosevelt dimes were struck. Even in its dirty condition, this coin is still highly valued by collectors, particularly those who focus on acquiring as many variations of the Roosevelt dime as possible. The Roosevelt dime of 1967 was part of a period of increased mintage, but it also marks an era of significant historical events. The 1960s were a turbulent time in the United States, with the civil rights movement, the space race, and significant social changes shaping the nation. Despite the political and social upheaval of the time, coins like the 1967 Roosevelt dime remained a constant in everyday transactions, circulating throughout the country. One of the interesting aspects of the 1967 dimes is that they were part of a transitional period in minting, with the United States transitioning from using 90% silver to a copper-nickel-clad composition in 1965. This made the 1967 dimes a product of the post-silver era, which contributed to their widespread circulation. The mintage of the 1967 Roosevelt dime was quite high, with over 1.5 billion coins minted that year. Despite its high mintage, coins from this era are still quite valuable in certain conditions. Even in dirty condition, the 1967 Roosevelt dime can command prices of $37,000 depending on the level of wear and the collector's market at the time. Collectors of Roosevelt dimes typically seek out coins with minimal wear, but even coins with dirt and tarnish can still hold appeal, particularly for those looking to complete a series or find dimes with certain characteristics, such as the absence of a mint mark. As with the 1987 coin, the 1967 Roosevelt dime features a left-facing profile of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, along with the inscriptions "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the year of mintage. On the reverse side, you'll find the torch, olive branch, and oak branch, which have remained a constant feature on the Roosevelt dime since its inception in 1946. The torch represents liberty, the olive branch peace, and the oak branch strength, encapsulating the values Roosevelt championed during his presidency. Although this 1967 Roosevelt dime doesn't have any major errors or unique minting features, Its status as a part of the Roosevelt dime series makes it interesting for collectors. The lack of a mint mark may not seem important at first glance, but to some collectors, mint mark varieties are crucial. And this one has an edge because it was minted in 1850 Philadelphia, the primary mint for many coins of this era. Though the dirty condition might deter some collectors, others see the value in owning coins that have a history of circulation. Coins like these remind us of the many stories they carry, and for the right collector, a coin like this can still fetch a respectable value in the auction market. Next up, the 1964 Jefferson nickel with a D mint mark. The 1964 Jefferson nickel is an intriguing example of mid-20th century U.S. coinage, notable for its connection to post-war America and its design features. Let's explore this coin in detail to understand why it holds such value in today's market. By the time the 1964 Jefferson nickel was struck, the United States had been through a period of immense change, both economically and politically. The 1960s marked the beginning of the civil rights movement, the space race, and an era of societal transformation. Coins from this period, especially those minted during the early years of the decade, often reflect a moment in history that collectors look back on with great interest. The 1964 Jefferson nickel was part of a series of coins that were struck with consistent designs, but a growing demand for higher quality, well-preserved examples made the coin especially interesting to collectors over time. This was also the year following the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, which led to widespread interest in American symbols and commemorative issues. The 1964 Jefferson nickel was produced in large numbers, with a total mintage of approximately 410 million coins. The Denver Mint, indicated by the D Mint mark, was responsible for producing a significant portion of these coins, with the remainder coming from the Philadelphia Mint and the San Francisco Mint. As with all coins produced in high quantities, many of these nickels circulated heavily, which resulted in them being worn down or damaged by the time they entered the hands of collectors. However, due to the large production run, the 1964 Jefferson nickel remains relatively affordable in most grades. Coins in circulated conditions are often quite common, and collectors can find them without much difficulty. Still, nickels in higher grades, such as very fine or better, are much rarer and can command a premium in the marketplace. Like other Jefferson nickels, the 1964 issue features the portrait of President Thomas Jefferson, designed by Felix Schlag, on the obverse. This design has been a hallmark of the Jefferson nickel series, and it has remained relatively unchanged since its introduction in 1938. Jefferson's likeness was chosen for the coin as a tribute to his significant contributions to the nation, especially as the author of the Declaration of Independence. The reverse of the 1964 Jefferson nickel features an image of Monticello, Jefferson's home, which symbolizes the country's early history and the agrarian ideals that Jefferson championed throughout his life. This reverse design is one of the most iconic images in U.S. coinage and has remained a staple of the Jefferson nickel series. While the 1964 Jefferson nickel is not as rare as some other coins, its market value can still be quite significant depending on its condition. In circulated condition, the value is usually very low, often just a few cents to $1. However, when in very fine condition, the value can reach between $53,500 or more. The market for 1964 Jefferson nickels with the D Mint mark is driven by collectors seeking high-grade examples. Coins in excellent condition, particularly those with no significant damage or wear, are highly prized, as they represent the best-preserved versions of a coin that was minted in such large quantities. For collectors looking to complete their Jefferson nickel sets, the 1964 D Mint mark coin is an essential piece. While the 1964 Jefferson nickel is not known for widespread errors, there are a few minor varieties and mistakes that can sometimes be found. These include slight variations in the die used to strike the coin, such as double dies or off-center strikes. These error coins, when discovered, can be highly valuable due to their rarity and the interest they generate in the coin collecting community. The 1964 Jefferson nickel with the D Mint mark in very fine condition holds a special place in American coinage, thanks to its connection to the 1960s and its iconic design. Although it was produced in vast quantities, high-quality examples in exceptional condition can be quite valuable and sought after by collectors. Next up, The 1965 Roosevelt dime is one of the most unique coins in the history of the United States minting series. Its historical significance, coupled with the unique aspects of its design, makes it a valuable coin in the market today. The 1965 large date without a mint mark holds particular interest among collectors for several reasons, especially when considering its context within American coinage. The Roosevelt dime series was introduced in 1946 as a tribute to the late President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who passed away in 1945. The coin was designed by John R. Sinek, the chief engraver of the United States Mint. It featured a portrait of Roosevelt on the obverse and an olive branch, torch, and oak branch on the reverse, symbolizing peace, liberty, and strength. However, by the time the 1965 dime was produced, the United States was facing a major shift in the coinage system. The country had just moved away from silver coinage, transitioning to clad coins, which were primarily composed of copper and nickel rather than silver. This transition occurred largely due to the rising costs of silver and the need to stabilize the value of U.S. coins. In 1965, the U.S. Mint faced a logistical challenge in meeting the demand for coins following the Coinage Act of 1965, which had removed silver from the dime and quarter denominations. This made the production of dimes like the 1965 crucial, and certain varieties like the large date version without a mint mark became quite rare, making them of significant interest to collectors. In 1965, the U.S. Mint produced a substantial number of Roosevelt dimes, but the large date variety without a mint mark is especially scarce in circulated condition. While the U.S. Mint made an effort to produce coins quickly to replenish circulation, errors and variations in the production process are inevitable. The mint marks, or lack thereof, play a critical role in determining the value of these dimes. Normally, coins from the Philadelphia Mint do not bear a mint mark, but in this case, the lack of a mint mark on the 1965 dimes makes them stand out. The market value for these coins has surged due to their rarity in circulated condition. Coins in better condition can fetch higher prices, with some reaching impressive values in today's auction market. As of recent auction results, the value of a 1965 Roosevelt dime in circulated condition without a mint mark can range anywhere from $20,000 depending on the specific wear and tear. However, in higher grades, this value can escalate significantly. A coin in uncirculated condition can bring in much more as collectors seek these rare finds. The design of the Roosevelt dime has remained relatively consistent over the years, and the 1965 version is no exception. On the obverse, President Franklin D. Roosevelt's profile is shown, facing left. The reverse features a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch, all of which have symbolic significance. One notable feature of the 1965 Roosevelt dime is the large date variety. In 1965, the U.S. Mint used larger numbers for the date than it did in previous years, and these large digits are what distinguish this particular dime from others produced in earlier years. Although the design features on the obverse and reverse of the coin remained consistent with the original Roosevelt dime, these subtle changes in the date size became significant in the coin's value and collectability. The main error associated with the 1965 Roosevelt dime is the large date variety, where the size of the numbers in the date is noticeably larger than the standard size. This, along with the lack of a mint mark, has captured the interest of coin collectors. The error coin market has exploded over the years, and rare varieties such as this one have proven to be incredibly valuable. Collectors highly prize errors, as they are seen as unique pieces of history, rare anomalies in the production process that can increase the appeal and market value of a coin. Therefore, the 1965 Roosevelt dime with a large date and no mint mark has become a must-have item for many coin collectors, especially those focusing on error coins. Next up, the 1942 Jefferson nickel, specifically the version without a mint mark. Known for its historical importance and unique place in American coinage, this nickel stands out among other coins from the early 20th century. To understand its value, let's explore the story behind it. In 1942, the United States was deeply involved in World War II, and the effects of the war had a profound impact on the country's economy. The wartime economy had forced the government to make various adjustments to the design and composition of currency. By 1942, there were drastic shortages of silver and other metals, which had a direct impact on coin production. As part of the war effort, the United States began to produce different variations of coins to conserve precious materials, and the 1942 Jefferson nickel was one such example. The most notable feature of this nickel is the fact that it was produced without a mint mark, particularly the ones struck in Philadelphia. This was a period of increased demand for coins, which resulted in the government not needing to include a mint mark on the coins produced in Philadelphia, unlike coins from other mints that typically carried a mint mark D for Denver or S for San Francisco. This absence of a mint mark made the 1942 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark a rare and highly sought-after piece for collectors today. In 1942, there was a substantial mintage of Jefferson nickels, but the version without a mint mark had a relatively high production at the Philadelphia Mint. Despite this, it's important to remember that the circulating coins from that time were often worn down, resulting in fewer examples of the coin in excellent condition today. The total mintage of the 1942 Jefferson nickel was just over 100 million coins, with the Philadelphia Mint producing the lion's share. However, due to the heavy circulation during the wartime economy, most of these coins have been lost to time, either damaged or degraded through everyday use. Even so, the 1942 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark remains an important coin among collectors because of its historical significance, connection to wartime metal shortages, and the overall scarcity of well-preserved examples. The 1942 Jefferson nickel has a distinctive design that many collectors adore. On the obverse, the coin features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, designed by Felix Schlag. This was a departure from the earlier Indian head, or buffalo nickel designs, and was intended to reflect a more dignified and nationalistic image in line with the growing importance of historical figures in American culture. On the reverse, we see Monticello, Jefferson's plantation home in Virginia, which was also designed by Felix Schlag. Monticello represents a connection to the country's heritage and is a lasting tribute to Jefferson's legacy. The combination of these two iconic American symbols makes the coin not just valuable but also highly collectible. The 1942 Jefferson nickel is not only notable for its standard design, but also for some interesting errors and variations. Some collectors seek out error coins where the coin has been struck improperly, creating unique and often valuable pieces. One error that can be found in some 1942 nickels is a doubled die or a misaligned die error, which can cause parts of the design to appear doubled or out of place. Additionally, in 1942, some nickels were struck with a different composition due to the war's impact on metal supplies. Some coins were made with 35% silver, known as the Silver War nickel, while others, including the ones without mint marks, were still made from a standard nickel-copper alloy. For collectors, these variations, especially those featuring errors or unusual conditions, can greatly increase the value of the coin. Coins with mistakes, such as die cracks or off-center strikes, are often more valuable because of their rarity and uniqueness. The 1942 Jefferson nickel, without a mint mark, has garnered significant interest in the numismatic market due to its historical importance, rarity, and the sheer beauty of its design. For collectors seeking coins from the World War II era, this nickel serves as a tangible piece of that tumultuous time in American history. As of today, the value of a 1942 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark depends on the coin's condition. In circulated conditions, the value typically ranges from $93,300, depending on how well the coin has been preserved over time. However, for coins in higher grades, such as fine, very fine, or even extremely fine, the price can go much higher, often reaching between $100,000 or more. In the case of coins with errors, such as doubled dies or misstruck coins, the value can skyrocket, sometimes exceeding $100,000 or more. The rarity and collector interest in these coins have made them increasingly sought after at coin auctions, where their value, the 1938 Jefferson nickel, is one of the most iconic coins in U.S. numismatics, and its history dates back to the year it was minted. As a part of the U.S. Mint's efforts to redesign the 5-cent piece, the Jefferson nickel was introduced to replace the previous Liberty Head nickel, It is famed for its depiction of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, and the Monticello, his Virginia home, on the reverse side. The 1938 nickel is significant for several reasons, and when you encounter one with a large date, damage, and no mint mark, it adds an extra layer of value and intrigue. The 1938 Jefferson nickel was the first year of production for this iconic design, which was created by Felix Schlag. Schlag's design featured the portrait of Jefferson on the obverse, while the reverse displayed an image of Monticello, Jefferson's historic plantation house. This was part of the U.S. Mint's ongoing effort to create coins that honored the nation's history and figures. Jefferson was chosen as a symbol of American independence, democracy, and the spirit of exploration. At the time of its production, the nation was recovering from the Great Depression, and the economy was still struggling. The nickel was one of several coins in circulation that had been redesigned to provide a sense of national pride. Minted at the Philadelphia Mint, the 1938 nickel marked the beginning of a long-running series of Jefferson nickels that would continue until 2004 before transitioning to new designs. The 1938 Jefferson nickel was minted in huge quantities, with a total production of around 120 million coins. While this is a significant number, certain versions of the coin, such as those with a unique minting error or special characteristics, are much more desirable and valuable in today's market. The 1938 nickel without a mint mark is especially sought after by collectors who focus on error coins, damaged coins, and those in higher grade conditions. Despite the high mintage, damage can significantly impact the value of a coin. The 1938 without a mint mark, especially with a noticeable amount of damage, presents an interesting conundrum for collectors. Coins in damaged condition typically sell for less than their undamaged counterparts, but unique features such as historical significance, rarity, and collector demand can push their value higher in the market. One of the defining features of the 1938 Jefferson nickel is the large date on the obverse. The large date refers to the size of the numerals in the year, and this variation is a subtle detail that many collectors seek out. Coins with this feature are valued for their uniqueness in comparison to their counterparts with a standard date size. The large date coins are often seen as more collectible and fetch higher prices, depending on their condition. Collectors also seek coins that exhibit damage in certain ways. For example, if a coin has been heavily worn or altered, it could be the result of minting issues or post-production damage that gives the coin a distinctive look. Some collectors may value these types of coins for their historical significance, while others may be drawn to the coin's imperfections that make it stand out from the crowd. While the 1938 Jefferson nickel in excellent condition could command hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction, the damaged, large date, no mint mark version is still appealing for certain niche collectors. Collectors who are specifically interested in error coins, those with unusual markings, or those who are fascinated by the stories behind coins in bad condition, often find this version of the 1938 nickel to be quite valuable. The market value of this coin in today's auction market can fluctuate, but damaged versions of the 1938 Jefferson nickel are generally valued around $50,000 depending on the extent of the damage and the demand for the coin at the time. Rarely do damaged coins with unique features sell for above this range, but certain auction houses and online markets can see prices soar based on interest from specialized buyers. Error coins, like the 1938 Jefferson nickel, can be highly valued by collectors for their uniqueness. Coins with minting errors, such as misprints, off-center strikes, or unusual die cracks, add a layer of intrigue for collectors who want to own pieces that are one of a kind. The 1938 without a mint mark, and with a large date, could be considered a minor error coin in that the large date is unusual compared to the standard minting. Collectors of Jefferson nickels, especially those interested in earlier dates, are always on the lookout for rare and potentially valuable coins. Next up, the 2000 Roosevelt dime stands out for its large date design and the inclusion of a mint mark. While it may not be as historically significant as earlier Roosevelt dimes, its value in today's auction market is still noteworthy, particularly in the context of its unique features and collector interest. The 2000 Roosevelt dime represents the continuation of the long-running series that started in 1946. The design, featuring President Roosevelt on the obverse and symbolic olive branches on the reverse, remained largely unchanged over the decades. By the year 2000, however, the United States Mint was operating in a modern era with advanced technology, allowing for more precise coin production. The early 2000s marked a time when the U.S. Mint was producing coins in larger quantities, with significant focus on standardization and consistency. During this time, there was also a large amount of focus on creating coins that would serve both circulation purposes and collector demand. The 2000 Roosevelt dime with the large date design was one of the varieties of that era and has captured the interest of collectors due to some unique features. The 2000 Roosevelt dime was produced in significant numbers, so finding one in circulated or even dirty condition is not particularly rare. However, it's the condition of the coin that significantly influences its market value. Dimes that are heavily worn or dirty from exposure to the elements can sometimes carry a slight premium if they possess other unique features, like being a part of a low mintage year, having interesting die errors, or if they are part of a well-documented series. Despite being in dirty condition, the 2000 Roosevelt dime can still have some notable value to collectors. A dirty coin often carries a lower value in most cases, but collectors often appreciate dimes like this because they still hold the basic elements that make them part of a larger collection, especially when they represent key years or mint marks. Coins from this era have become popular for their ability to connect modern-day collectors to the history and symbolism of the Roosevelt dime series. While the 2000 Roosevelt dime in dirty condition would likely have a value around $5,000 at best in typical auctions, certain factors, such as unique error varieties or provenance, can increase the demand and price. Coins with more noticeable wear and tarnishing still hold a place in many collections. The 2000 Roosevelt dime features a portrait of President Roosevelt facing left, with the traditional torch, olive branch, and oak branch displayed on the reverse. The design elements, as with earlier versions, symbolize unity, peace, and strength, reflecting the values Roosevelt championed during his presidency. The large date feature of the 2000 Roosevelt dime is a continuation of the trend that began in 1965. These coins have large, bold digits in the date section of the obverse, which has made them stand out in comparison to previous year's designs. The presence of the mint mark, D for the Denver Mint, further differentiates these coins from other dimes of the same period, as mint marks provide critical clues to the coin's origin and rarity. While there are no widely documented significant errors associated with the 2000 Roosevelt dime, the large date itself makes it an intriguing option for collectors. Many modern dimes have been produced in very high numbers, but coins with distinguishing features, even subtle ones like the large date, always attract attention. Collectors interested in the 2000 Roosevelt dime are often drawn to its place within the larger collection of Roosevelt dimes. They may also appreciate the way this coin bridges the historical legacy of Roosevelt with the new millennium. The 2000 coin year holds some unique significance, especially for those collecting coins from each decade or those focusing on mint-marked varieties. Next up, the 1946 Jefferson nickel is another example of a coin with significant historical relevance, and the D mint mark indicates it was minted at the Denver Mint. The 1946 issue is particularly interesting because it represents the first year of coin production following the end of World War II, a period of economic recovery for the United States. The end of World War II in 1945 marked a major turning point for the U.S. economy. After the war, the country saw a period of growth and expansion, as millions of soldiers returned home and the industrial base shifted from wartime production to peacetime goods. This time of transition was reflected in the coinage, and the 1946 Jefferson nickel is often considered to be the beginning of a post-war series of coins that would continue to evolve through the 20th century. In 1946, the U.S. Mint was still using the design by Felix Schlag, which had debuted in 1938. However, there were slight variations in the strike and quality of these coins compared to earlier versions. The 1946 Jefferson nickel was produced with several 100 million examples minted in various locations, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The 1946 Jefferson nickel had a relatively high mintage across all its varieties, with a total production of approximately 115 million coins. This widespread circulation, combined with the post-war economic boom, meant that many of these coins were used extensively in day-to-day transactions. Because of this, many 1946 Jefferson nickels, particularly those in circulated condition, are not considered rare, and their value is relatively modest when compared to higher-grade or mint-condition coins. However, despite their high mintage and wide circulation, the 1946 Jefferson nickel with a D mint mark stands out because it represents one of the most popular varieties for collectors of post-war nickels. This coin is valuable not because it is exceptionally rare, but because of its place in the context of U.S. history. After all, it's one of the first coins to be produced following the war, and collectors are always on the lookout for coins from this era. The 1946 Jefferson nickel continues to feature the classic Felix Schlag design, with Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse. The 1946 coin is part of the Jefferson nickel series, which became a staple of U.S. coinage. While the basic design remained largely unchanged for many years, the 1946 nickel is historically significant because of its place in post-war America. The market value for a 1946 Jefferson nickel with a D mint mark in circulated condition typically ranges from $73,200, depending on the quality and any special features. Circulated coins generally do not command high premiums, but certain varieties or coins in exceptional condition can see their value rise significantly. Collectors who specialize in post-war coins are particularly interested in 1946 Jefferson nickels due to their historical significance, and the demand for coins in good condition remains high, even for those that have been circulated. Additionally, any coins with significant errors, such as off-center strikes or die cracks, can fetch higher prices in the market, though these are relatively rare in the 1946 Jefferson nickel series. Next up, the 1968 Roosevelt dime with a large date, which is notable for its scarcity and collectible value. The year 1968 was a pivotal time in American history. The nation was in the midst of social and political change, with the Vietnam War, the Civil Rights Movement, and the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., all marking the year as a turbulent one. On a more economic note, this period was characterized by inflation, rising costs of living, and significant changes in the U.S. coinage system. The 1968 Roosevelt dime is part of the post-1964 series, which saw the transition from 90% silver content to a copper-nickel-clad composition due to rising silver prices. The Roosevelt dime, designed by John R. Sinek, was the first U.S. coin to bear the image of a sitting president since the 19th century. The obverse features a portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt facing left. Sinek's portrayal captures Roosevelt's strength and determination, despite his physical frailty due to polio. The reverse showcases a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, representing liberty and peace, respectively. For the 1968 version of the Roosevelt dime, there was an interesting modification in the size of the date. This was a transitional year where a large date version of the dime was produced, and it was typically the distinguishing feature of coins struck in that year. The mintage of the 1968 Roosevelt dime with a large date was substantial, with millions of coins produced in Philadelphia, making the coin relatively easy to find in circulation. However, despite the high mintage numbers, the coin is noteworthy because of its condition. Coins found in circulated condition have lower market value than those in uncirculated or mint state conditions. Yet the 1968 large date dime remains significant in the numismatic community due to its design and its connection to an important year in U.S. history. In circulated condition, the value of the 1968 Roosevelt dime large date is modest, generally hovering around face value or slightly above due to its wear and age. However, coins in higher grade conditions can fetch a much higher price. The most desirable versions of the 1968 large date dimes are those in near mint state, which can reach values of up to $39,000 or more, depending on their specific condition and the quality of their strike. Dimes in perfect or gem uncirculated condition can reach upwards of $50,000 and sometimes even more at auction depending on demand. The market interest in this coin is driven by a few key factors. Collectors are always seeking to complete their Roosevelt dime collections, especially focusing on the rare or unique years such as 1968. The large date variety adds another layer of intrigue, as it represents a shift in minting practices that numismatists find appealing. Though the 1968 Roosevelt dime large date is not considered an error coin, variations in the strike and minting processes can affect its desirability. Some collectors may seek out the 1968 dimes with specific flaws in the minting process, such as overstrikes, die cracks, or off-center strikes. These errors, while not common, can greatly enhance the value of the coin. Furthermore, coins with unique attributes, such as unusual toning or characteristics that make them stand out, often spark interest in auctions, where specialized collectors can be quite passionate about obtaining rare or unusual specimens. The Roosevelt dime is one of the most beloved series in U.S. coin collecting, and this 1968 large date variety has an especially keen collector following. The interest in the coin is bolstered by its connection to an important historical period, its relatively small error variation, and the public's ongoing admiration for Roosevelt's legacy. Coin enthusiasts value not only the design, but also the era the coin represents. The 1968 coin symbolizes a moment of change and development in U.S. coinage and history. The 1968 Roosevelt dime, large date without mint mark, in circulated condition, may not seem like much to the untrained eye, but it holds an important place in U.S. coinage history. It's a coin that represents both a time of historical importance and a unique numismatic transition. For collectors and enthusiasts, it's a coin that continues to hold significant value, both in terms of its monetary worth and its place in the larger story of U.S. currency. Whether you're looking for a simple addition to your collection or a piece with historical significance, the 1968 Roosevelt dime is definitely one to keep an eye on. Next up, the 1940 Monticello Jefferson. Nickel without a mint mark is one of the standout coins in the Jefferson nickel series, which began in 1938. As part of a broad range of important coins in U.S. numismatics, the 1940 issue holds a unique position for collectors. This coin features the classic Monticello design and is often sought after by both novice collectors and seasoned investors alike. But what makes the 1940 Monticello Jefferson nickel such a valuable and rare collectible? The 1940 Jefferson nickel was minted during a time of significant economic and geopolitical change in the United States. The world was on the brink of World War II, and the U.S. economy was recovering from the Great Depression. It was also a time when the U.S. Mint was adjusting to a new design for its 5-cent coin, the Jefferson nickel, which replaced the Buffalo nickel, also known as the Indian head nickel, in 1938. The Jefferson nickel was designed by Felix Schlag, a German immigrant who won a design competition held by the U.S. Mint in the late 1930s. His design features the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, on the obverse, with an image of Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia estate, on the reverse. The 1940 Jefferson nickel maintained this iconic imagery, and its simplicity yet elegance helped establish it as one of the most enduring designs in American coinage history. While the design remained the same throughout the 1940s, the minting process and the economic climate surrounding it added different factors that influenced the rarity and value of these coins. The 1940 Monticello Jefferson nickel, like all other nickels of its time, has a weight of 5 grams and a diameter of 21.2 millimeters. Its metal composition consists of 75% copper and 25% nickel, a formula that was used for all circulating nickels from 1866 until 1942, when the minting process shifted due to wartime demands for nickel. The reverse of the coin features a detailed depiction of Monticello, the home of Thomas Jefferson, with the word Monticello prominently displayed above the building. Below the building, you'll find the inscriptions 5 cents and United States of America, along with the famous Latin phrase, e pluribus unum. The mint mark, however, is not present on this particular coin, which distinguishes it from coins minted at other U.S. mint locations in 1940. The 1940 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark holds a high market value, especially for those in good or fine condition. The coin was primarily minted at the Philadelphia Mint, which did not use a mint mark in that year for coins minted there. The total mintage for the 1940 Jefferson nickel is 120,609,000, a substantial number, yet the coin remains relatively rare in high grades due to its relatively long period of circulation, during which it was used extensively in daily transactions. As for the market value of a 1940 Jefferson nickel without mint mark in circulated good condition, collectors can expect to pay anywhere from $35,000 for a coin in low-grade circulated condition. The value can increase dramatically when the coin is in higher grades, such as fine, very fine, or extra fine, with prices reaching $49,000 depending on the overall state of preservation. When it comes to coins graded as mint state or in uncirculated condition, the value can rise sharply, even approaching $55,000 or more in some cases, especially for coins that have been carefully preserved and stored. The significant factor influencing the value of the 1940 Jefferson nickel is the overall condition of the coin. High-grade coins with minimal wear or damage are much rarer than lower-grade circulated coins, and as such, they attract premium prices. The rare mint-state specimens have seen auction prices as high as $100,000 at major numismatic auctions. One of the key reasons for the 1940 Jefferson nickel's enduring popularity is its widespread collector interest. While the coin doesn't have any significant minting errors that would place it among the rarer error coins, there is still significant appeal in the overall series and the specific year. Collectors often seek out coins from certain years and specific grades to complete their Jefferson nickel sets, and the 1940 is no exception. While there are more well-known error coins, such as the 1942 D over mint mark Jefferson nickel, or the 1939 doubled die Jefferson nickel, the 1940 Monticello. Jefferson nickel has still managed to capture the imagination of collectors due to its place in U.S. coinage history and its classic design. In summary, the 1940 Jefferson nickel, without a mint mark, holds a substantial value for collectors, especially those focused on high-grade coins or complete Jefferson nickel sets. The significant market demand for well-preserved examples has helped drive up its value, making it a prized item for any numismatic collection. Next up, the 1975 Roosevelt dime, in particular, holds a unique spot in the market today, with collectors paying particular attention to its design, rarity, and condition. This specific coin, produced without a mint mark and in fine condition, carries significance both in terms of its production history and its collectible value. 1975 was a year that carried both challenges and triumphs for the United States. The year marked the USS's ongoing post-Vietnam period, with the nation grappling with economic issues like inflation and unemployment. The US dollar was also facing some tension in global markets due to the continued effects of the Bretton Woods system's collapse earlier in the decade. On the numismatic front, the U.S. Treasury made efforts to streamline coin production, with coins like the Roosevelt dime becoming more standard in appearance and usage. The 1975 dimes, like all coins produced in the mid-1970s, reflect these transitions and are somewhat representative of a more stable era in the nation's history. The design of the 1975 Roosevelt dime is consistent with the classic representation of Franklin D. Roosevelt, who is depicted on the obverse of the coin. The artist, John R. Sinek, successfully captured Roosevelt's dignified expression, which is both sharp and nuanced. The reverse design of the coin, featuring a torch, olive branch, and oak branch, symbolizes liberty, peace, and strength. This iconic design has remained unchanged since the coin's inception, making it one of the longest-running designs in U.S. coinage history. In 1975, the design of the dime remained nearly identical to that of 1968, and the overall look and feel of the Roosevelt dime became associated with a sense of reliability and consistency in American coinage. Coins from this year are typically very well struck and retain much of their detail, especially when found in fine condition. In 1975, the U.S. Mint produced millions of Roosevelt dimes, ensuring that they were widely circulated. However, the coin without a mint mark is often considered to be the one struck at the Philadelphia Mint, as no mint mark was used for coins from this facility at the time. The 1975 dimes are somewhat plentiful in circulation, but those in better condition, such as the fine-grade examples, are more sought after by collectors. This is partly due to the relatively high wear and tear that dimes typically experience due to their everyday use in coinage circulation. In fine condition, the 1975 Roosevelt dime without a mint mark can be found on the market for anywhere from $2,600 depending on demand and the coin's specific attributes. Coins that are well maintained and exhibit a bright appearance often garner higher prices than those that show significant wear. The key to the value of this coin lies in its quality, with many dimes fetching higher values as the condition improves. The collector interest in the 1975 Roosevelt dime is driven by its association with the larger Roosevelt dime series, which remains a favorite among collectors. While the 1975 coin is as rare or as valuable as some other dimes, its historical context, particularly as part of the 1970s coinage era, gives it a special place in many collections. Enthusiasts may seek out the 1975 dime as part of a complete set or because of the importance it holds in terms of its production during an interesting era in U.S. history. While the 1975 Roosevelt dime is not known for having any major errors or variations, collectors are always on the lookout for minor variations in the strike, die cracks, or other anomalies that may have occurred during production. Coins with such errors, if they can be identified, often attract premium prices. For example, a coin struck off-center or with a doubled die might be more valuable than a standard 1975 dime, depending on the severity of the error and its impact on the overall look of the coin. The 1975 Roosevelt dime without mint mark, in fine condition, holds a unique position in the world of numismatics. Though it may not be as rare as some other coins from the same era, its historical significance, classic design, and strong collector interest make it an important part of the Roosevelt dime series. Whether you are a seasoned collector or a newcomer to coin collecting, this dime represents an excellent example of U.S. coinage from the 1970s, and its steady value ensures it remains an interesting piece to seek out and cherish. Thanks for joining us. Happy collecting. Next up, the 1958 Jefferson nickel holds a special place in numismatic history. This coin was minted during a pivotal time in U.S. history, just a few years before the country would experience monumental shifts in both culture and politics. The late 1950s were marked by economic prosperity post-World War II, yet the coinage system was undergoing subtle changes, including the transition in the composition and design of various coins. The Jefferson nickel design was introduced in 1938 by Felix Schlag, depicting Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse. Jefferson's iconic home in Virginia, Monticello, symbolizes American history and architecture, making it a powerful motif. This design has remained relatively unchanged over the years, although there have been slight variations depending on mint marks and design years. In 1958, the large date version of the coin was issued, with the mint mark D representing the Denver Mint. This particular version of the 1958 Jefferson nickel is one of the more popular and valuable coins within this series. The large date feature refers to the specific size of the numerals used in the year 1958, making it distinct from other years that might have smaller font numerals. This feature adds to the uniqueness of the coin, making it more desirable for collectors. The 1958 Jefferson nickel with the D mint mark is more valuable than many other coins in the same series, primarily due to its large date variant and its status as a coin minted at the Denver Mint. While the coin was produced in large numbers, it remains a rarity in good condition due to the usual wear and tear on nickels. The mintage for this coin is substantial, with millions of them produced, yet as time has passed, many have been lost or damaged. The good condition of a 1958 Jefferson nickel with a D mint mark significantly impacts its value. A coin that retains a decent level of detail, with no major flaws, is prized by collectors, especially for those seeking to complete a Jefferson nickel set. In today's market, the value of this coin in good condition can range from $13,000 depending on the specific quality of the coin and whether it is graded. However, in higher grades, the price can escalate dramatically, with uncirculated examples fetching $30,000 or more. Coins that feature minimal signs of wear, such as a sharp strike or clearer details on Jefferson's portrait and Monticello, are much more valuable. Collectors are especially drawn to this coin due to its historical context and design appeal. Jefferson nickels are beloved by both beginners and seasoned collectors, and the 1958 large date with the D mint mark holds significant desirability for filling out collections of the series. The Monticello design is iconic, and many collectors appreciate the subtle variations across different years and mint marks. This coin has strong collector interest, with specialized groups targeting error varieties and unique features. Many enthusiasts look for specific details that mark the coin as a unique find, adding to its mystique and collecting appeal. If you come across a 1958 large date with a D mint mark in good condition, you've likely found a valuable piece of U.S. coinage history. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and leave your comments below. And as always, keep hunting for those rare treasures.